On this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, one of my favorite movies back in 1987, believe it or not, 10th of April, my life changed. I remember going to the cinema and watching this movie. It's, of course, Flight of the Navigator. And we have got a special guest. We've got the star of Flight of the Navigator, Joey Cramer. Joey, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you.
Do you know?
Be more super.
Yeah, be more super. Do you know
I'm
what? The world
excited. This is
needs to
great.
be more super. They really do
Yeah,
need to. And
it's true.
I have got to say, I've been waiting for this interview for so long. I am so nervous and so excited at the same time because, you know, Flight of the Navigator, come on, who doesn't love that movie? You know, when you say that to anyone in the street, just randomly, or to your friends, everyone's seen it, everyone loves it. And it's just amazing to be speaking to you. So thank you for the time. So we're
Thank
going to
you.
be talking about the wonderful documentary that's coming out. Well, it's out now to buy it on Blu-ray,
It
and it's
is
going to
in
be
the UK.
streaming.
It
It
is.
is, yeah, in the UK. Finally, we get something before Canada or America. It's great. So we'll be talking about that, and obviously about yourself as well. But before we start, let's check in with you. How is everything during the pandemic, during this difficult time? How are you getting on?
I'm actually doing quite well. I had been working up until about March, and then we pretty much had a lockdown. I live on Vancouver Island, so it's just off the coast of Vancouver there, and so you got to take a ferry. And we'd shut down our ferries for a good couple months. Essential travel only. I think like very very minimal. I don't even. There was barely any public on there. Um, so I wasn't working, and I really, the first couple of weeks, I'll admit, I just binge watched Netflix and movies and stuff like that, and
Excellent.
series, and some crime and things, and but then I went, okay, I really need to do something. So I kind of snapped into gear, and I started just uh, doing some online classes, like acting, because I'm getting back into acting. It's something that I uh, like realized I always wanted to pursue again, or look into it. And now that I've been in classes and training for the last couple of years, I found that it's something I really want to do. And so, um, but I went and bought some plays. So I've been reading some plays, watching a lot of online workshops. I started with a great trainer doing home workouts and stuff like that. So just getting my whole mind, body, spirit in line, taking advantage of that time of being kind of locked up. Right, it can go one way
Yeah.
or the other. So I
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of people out there getting quite, depressed because of the environment and the situation. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be working the whole way through the pandemic, and so is my wife. Um, but it is heavy. It really is, the whole situation. But you know what? We just need to be positive, and we need to
it's
be
true.
making sure that we're supporting each other and keeping ourselves safe, washing hands, and all that jazz. And we'll
Yeah,
get out the other way.
that's
So
right.
let's
I
talk about flight. Yeah, go
Just on a side note, I have been incarcerated a few times.
on.
So I've been locked up before. So
And
it's
you're like,
actually,
it's fine. I've got
and,
this down.
and this is, yeah, and with this way, at least I've got a beautiful window. I can actually step outside my front door into the grass. My room isn't only 6 by 12.
Oh,
So
bless you.
yeah,
Funny. But let's but let's talk about. Oh, that's tickled me. Let's talk about Flight of the Navigator, one of my childhood favorites, and it never gets old. And the great thing is, my one of my girls is 7 years old, and she watched it for the first time the other night. And because I purchased from Second Sight Films this copy, which I think's awesome because it's from a 4K scan. You get loads of great things inside. the actual pack as well. And I've got to say, she absolutely adored the movie. Absolutely thought it was
Right.
magical as well. And isn't that great that this film has affected people not only in the 80s, 90s, but now, so many years on. And the Pukmaran, have I said that right? The Pukmaran, Pukmaran,
Puckmarin. It's kind of a
Pukmaran,
slight, yeah,
Pukmaran.
Puckmarin.
Yeah. So
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 yeah.
basically, that's on her Christmas list. So God knows what I'm going to be doing. I need to because you have got one, but you got it from. Did you get it from a fan or from
I
Etsy or?
I do. One second here.
Oh, we're going to see something.
Okay. I know we'll kind of cut out there. I so I did. I have my Puckmarin here in there.
Oh man. Oh, do you know what? When I was a kid, I so wanted one of those as well. Honestly, I just thought it was real at that age, and I just really wanted one.
Yeah,
But where
I
where
mean,
where where did you get yours from?
so I have a friend, Anna. She's a friend. She started off as a fan, writing fan letters, and we started corresponding way back when, and then we've just always kept in touch over the years. And she is an amazing artist as well. She grew up with Disney, and she helped design some the Gremlins on the original
Oh
Gremlin
wow.
movie and stuff like that. So she'd always been involved with creation and art and magic and movie magic and all that. So when I found out I was going to be going to a Comic Con a couple of years back, I went to San Antonio, the Alamo Comic Con. It was my first one, and it was incredible. And I said, "Hey, is there any way you can make me a Puckmarin to take for photo ops and things like that?" And sure enough, she came, she pulled it off with style. I mean, considering
Wow.
like, yeah, he's great. He's great. I love him. So I think it would be neat to yeah, in a way, Navigator in '86 or '87, whatever, like it came out, and there wasn't a lot of that kind of movie paraphernalia, so to speak,
Yeah.
that came along. Now, there would be right drones, spaceships, and there would be puppet maxes that you could hang from, or right, just
It
that
would be
you could
like
have in
Star
your
Wars, yeah.
car. Yeah, it would just there would be figurines all over the place. So, um,
Do you know what the
yeah,
scary thing is if that stuff got released now, do you know how many 30 and 40-year-olds would be buying that stuff now? It would be
right.
crazy. It really would be. So
Yeah.
so you play David Freeman in the movie.
Yeah.
How did the part come about for you? How did you get the role?
Well, I, I mean, I'd been in, well, started acting when I was about 8 and in stage and theater at the university here. Then some commercials, and when I was 10, I was in Runaway, the with
Yeah, with
Tom
Tom
Selleck,
Selleck. Yeah.
Gene Simmons from Kiss, um, and that kind of I guess started my movie career. And I just I just auditioned for it. I guess they had been looking for kids for a while. I found out a bunch of really interesting things about the audition process in the documentary. I don't know if we're going to give it away here or if people want to find
Yeah, we're
out.
gonna try. We're
Yeah,
trying to not give so much away,
but
because I've actually seen the documentary about a month ago,
right,
and I thought it was amazing. But we will talk about that. We will, because it's just stunning.
yeah,
So yeah. So you won the role really over quite a few famous names. Chris, is it Chris O'Donnell?
Chris
Went for the
O'Donnell.
role as well. So you can say you've beaten him to that role, which is awesome. So when you find out about Flight of the Navigator, what was your first thoughts about the movie? When it was presented to you for the audition, what did you think you were auditioning for, or did you know what you was auditioning for?
Well, I think at that time, see, it was actually after Navigator that I started getting full scripts. They would my agent would send me scripts and I would read them and then basically pick one. But before Navigator, as if I remember correctly, I was just it was like every other audition where you're given a couple of scenes, some sides, and I went for, if it's a little hazy, but I remember the callback experience the most because I'd obviously auditioned, and then they had a callback where they flew my mom and I down to Los Angeles, and I met with Randall there, and we did the scenes together and really had that connection. So and it just we just clicked, and it happened. And then also there was that thing about David, the character really had to be emotionally available and be able to cry and connect, and there was a lot of heart and things going on in the movie, and I just I could do it, so I did
Yeah.
it.
And there you are. You got the part. I mean, I
Yeah.
recently had Randall on the show, and I've got to say, he had nothing but amazing words about you, about your acting ability. And you know what? I've got to agree, because watching that film when I was a kid, it was magical, especially the scene where you go into the future and you see your parents and they're a lot older.
Yeah.
That freaked me out. Honestly, I was scared. I was like, I was with you in that movie. I was like, what? And then looking back now at the age of 41, looking back at that film, it's astonishing how amazing you were as an actor at that age, because that emotion, you could tell in every single scene, really pulls you in and really moves you, even now. So I thought that was amazing. And you know what? Randall completely agreed, and he just thinks you're amazing. And he was very interested in what you're working on, because you've just been filming. I don't know if you can talk about it. What you've been filming recently.
Well, I've been working on a couple of short films, and I can't really. They're, but yeah, there once.
Do you know? Do you know? Do you know what? Every single person I interview, when we talk about work, it's literally they can sort of say, but they can't say, and it's a complete surprise. So it's
Right.
fine. I am sure we'll see it in the near future. But talking about Randall, the picture behind me, you were saying something earlier about giving that to
Yeah.
Randall.
So a couple of years back, a friend of mine was down in Victoria here on Vancouver Island, and she sent me this picture of that scene that you have back there. And there was a print in a little, um, like a nostalgia toy shop. They have the Doctor Who telephone booth, and they have all sorts of Gremlin stuff, and Land of the Lost, um, Will Robinson.
Lost in
What's
Space.
Lost in Space,
Yeah.
like just all this really cool old 80s toys and stuff. And they had this print. Uh, I guess they had it made by one of their coworkers in the shop who loved the movie so much and kind of created um, this print, because it's not a traditional Disney print or
No.
anything, but he wanted to encompass the whole movie. So there's Max, and
Yeah.
there's the
Tell me
ship
about the
and the
light.
stairs, and then there's me, taking a pee on the fence, right, and the power lines that the ship runs into. So he made this beautiful print just with love of the movie, and so I
Mm.
went down to purchase it, and the owner was such a huge fan, and they went, "Oh, you're what, like, this is so amazing," and so they gifted it to me, and I in turn gifted it to Randall. I thought it would be really neat for him to have. He has some wonderful pieces of art and such a great office with his posters and everything. I wanted him to have it, and so thanks to
That is awesome.
Cherry Bomb in Victoria, yeah, so
Yeah, that is
that's
awesome
pretty
piece.
that's pretty
What
neat.
what 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 was Randall like to work with, and were you aware when you was auditioning that he was the director of Grease as well?
Okay, so I wasn't aware actually. I was talking about this with someone, and we because I was a huge Grease fan. I I was, I wanted to be John Travolta, and I would learn. I knew all the lines, and I would sing the song and dance it out, go Grease Lightning, and all this stuff, and I loved it. So, but I didn't actually find out that he was related to Grease until later. Um, as far as how he was, I just incredible, and so kind, calm. Um, I felt so just naturally connected, and in the emotional scenes, I always felt safe and available to go to these places, but not, but it wouldn't kind of take me out.
Mm.
I had someone there who cared about me, and that could ground me, bring me back, and say, okay, right, we're out of this scene. Because even as a child, even though I was able to go to those emotional places, sometimes it can be a challenge to come back from, right?
Yeah.
It's like you get wrapped up in the moments, or for the first crying scene, I remember I started thinking about my friends and how much I missed them, and things like that. And so that's how I kind of started the emotion, and then got into the scene. Well, when the scene was done, I was still pretty upset, and I
Mm.
remember him, being so supportive and comforting, and just encouraging, good job and all that. And um, so yeah, it was. He was wonderful to work with. I mean, I think we really just clicked, and he had a way of just kind of pointing me in the right direction, or just showing me the door to what he wanted, what his vision was, what he wanted to
Mm.
accomplish. And then I would just go for it, and we just work off each other, and it was wonderful.
Awesome.
I'd love to
Uh,
work with him again. I think that,
who
it's
knows? Who knows? Do you know
yeah.
what? The future isn't planned, so
That's right.
who knows? So being that age though, being in that position, did you feel much pressure? Being a child on playing the main part. You were near enough in every scene. I mean, what sort
Yeah.
of pressures did you feel during filming Flight of the Navigator?
To be honest, I didn't really. I mean, I must have had a lot of lines to learn for the next day's filming, things like that. I was fortunate enough to be able to memorize lines really easily. I just had a knack for it, maybe slightly eidetic memory, or whatnot. But I remember it being fun, and being an experience, and being I mean, there was so much to that film, the sets, and the magic, the movie magic that went along
Mm.
with it, that going to set every day. And I think I had weekends off, if I remember correctly. Like, we didn't work 7 days a week or anything like
Mm.
that. Even though a lot has changed as far as child actors now, it's still, they didn't put me through the ringer, or 20-hour days or anything like that, right? I think there still were some limits,
Yeah.
union wise and things like that. But I just remember having a great time.
Yeah.
And there
Nice.
was also neat, like, downtime. I remember in Florida, I got to go on a trip on those hover boats,
Oh yeah.
and speed through the Florida Everglades, and see baby crocodiles, alligators. Anyway, and
I know exactly what you mean. I wouldn't know. I think one's, is it Africa? Is it alligators? So it's crocodiles, or
yeah,
but well, they
I
both
think
bite.
it's
So
crocs, and I think it's crocs, and I'm gonna get in trouble for that one now. but there was fun, fun stuff as well. And even though there wasn't a lot of kids around, I remember the hotel I stayed at. I think the owners of the hotel had a son, and we played a lot. And then there was, yeah, so there was downtime, and it was fun. It was fun.
and before we move on to talk about the wonderful documentary, What's your fondest memory of working on that movie? It must be so hard because it's so many years ago. So it must be so difficult for you to remember all
Well,
these things.
actually, and again, I've shared this a bit that for some reason, Navigator, a lot of the filming is so clear in my head still. Um, I mean, I'd worked on other films that I don't remember quite as well. Maybe it was that time in my life, the age that I was at, the
Mm.
amount of time I spent on it, the positive experience it had, and the influence that it had on my life later. But I remember it just being an absolute pleasure. And uh, so, I, as far as an acting point of view, as a young actor, I remember the scene in the hospital where I'm Jeff comes and he's now my older brother, and I'm just like, and my mom and dad are old and all this strange stuff is happening, and I'm just overcome with emotion, right? I don't want to be stuck in this hospital, and that scene, I was so, like, when I look back on it, I don't see me, Joey Cramer. I see David Freeman in this position in life, and just being like, I get emotional. I'm like, oh my gosh, even though I know what's gonna happen, I get sucked right in, and I look back on that and just so proud um, of that scene. It just felt so wonderful and natural, and again, all those hospital scenes were so, like, they had so much heart in them. The connection between David and Jeff, um, those scenes were so tender and so full of heart that they were wonderful. And then, of course, the spaceship. I mean, being being able to actually get in the big fiberglass ship, and even though it didn't have the interior, I was still floating around in the spaceship, and Max was there next to me. Shooting at Alligator City on Burt Reynolds Ranch there
Yeah.
was so cool. The hangars, even though it wasn't technically NASA, it felt like NASA, and there was all this. The sets were huge. There was no green screen. There was none of that going on. So everything was real and made real. And I was just immersed in this environment, which was incredible. I could go on for sure.
And that movie will still be playing, I'm sure, in another 30, 40 years.
Uh,
But let's talk about this documentary, Life After the Navigator. And I've got to say, for anyone that's going to watch this documentary, it's worth the watch, because what a journey, an extraordinary, inspirational story from the beginning to the end. So for me, you know, your journey, I think you sort of fell off the radar for quite a bit. And then there were certain stories that surfaced. And obviously, without knowing all the facts and why, people come to conclusions. And I think that this documentary will completely change people's views, and they will leave with a new look of life, looking at things. So how would you describe the documentary in your words, because it's mainly about you?
Let's see. Well, it in a lot of ways it is about life after the Navigator, because Navigator was such a huge part of my childhood, and it also had an effect on, well, maybe not the movie, but my movie career as a young person, as a child, had an effect on my life later.
Mm.
Just, I look back and I think I missed I missed some years of learning how to be a normal kid and kind of fit into um, regular life as a kid.
Mm.
Um, and I learned other things through with working in film. It was wonderful and great experiences. So but I think the movie is about, it shows that um, no matter what life throws at you, and no matter what happens, that you can be a star, and you can also be human, and that no matter how uh, big someone can forget that we all are just human underneath, and we all make mistakes, and we all
Mhm.
have to learn from those mistakes, and we're all just doing our best to live our best lives and to get through it with
Yeah.
what we've learned and what we grow up with. So um, I think one of the things that I hope will come through is the fact that, yeah, when I've had people reach out and say they read my Wikipedia page and stuff, and it just looks like this progression of arrests and
Mm.
trouble with no backstory to it. And so I'm hoping that the documentary will give a bit of perspective as to how things can happen to a person. And I had a wonderful upbringing. I was loved. I was cared for. I always had support and encouragement and things like that from my mom. At the same time, there was lacking, father presence and things like that you don't realize at the time can have such an effect, but they really can. And so I hope that also by sharing my story in a truly authentic, honest, open way, that it can help anyone else who's maybe gone through similar or relatable experiences. Maybe not the depths of drug addiction or homelessness or criminal behavior, but everything from anxiety, depression, mental health issues, trauma. Everyone has trauma in their lives, right?
Mm.
And it's about accepting it and bringing it out into the light. I think that those hard times can only have power over us when we kind of keep them in the shadows and don't talk about them. And I think more and more the stigmas around mental health or addiction or just depression, all these things are lessening, and we're able to share and talk about vulnerability and talk about you know just yeah be vulnerability is a huge one, and talk about shame and talk about traumas, and so that they can get out in the open and we can shed some light on these dark corners of life that everyone goes through in one way or another.
Yeah.
And um, and and by that, when we share our stories, you connect with someone, and then they feel they can share their story with someone, and then they connect, and it creates this ripple effect that just helps to benefit the world in a positive way, and just
Yeah.
bring love and joy and light and good vibes to everyone, because that's what we need. That's what we need,
We
right?
definitely do. We
All about
definitely
that.
do. And you know what? Life is one big obstacle course. It
It
really
is.
is.
Yeah.
Obviously, when people watch the documentary, yours was like Ninja Warrior,
Mm.
but you've come out the other side, and it's so inspirational to watch. And can I just say, your mum is fantastic. I mean, your
Isn't
mum
she?
just, you know what? Watching your mum on camera, I bet she cooks some great meals.
Oh yeah.
You know, she's like a proper mom. What did you think of the documentary when she watched it?
I
Because there
don't.
was some quite touching moments and quite honest moments within the documentary. Did you
Yeah,
like it? How it turned out?
to be honest, I don't think she's seen it yet.
Really?
Yeah. I actually realized I was going to talk to Lisa because I saw the rough edit and I saw a re-edit, some, but I don't think I've actually seen the full-fledged, uh,
Wow.
the final finished product yet. Which is, but I've basically seen it. It just there was probably some of the graphics and the different music and stuff like that haven't.
Yeah.
But
No,
she hasn't seen it yet. She's waiting for the. We're gonna watch it together, I think.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
I mean, she's just amazing in it. She's just absolutely astonishing woman, and you should be so proud to have a mom like that.
I
I mean,
really am.
for me, you know, I was brought up by just my dad, and I never knew my mom.
Hmm.
And I know it's not the same, but I tried to connect with my mum, you know, not that long ago, and she actually told me to not call her again, and she doesn't know me, um, which is quite heartbreaking because I've got kids now, and I wanted them to
Yeah,
know their, you know, biological grandmother. But
right.
do you know what? if she didn't want to know, she doesn't want to know. So life goes on. But yeah, Lisa Downs is the director of this wonderful documentary, and she did one about the Flash, and what a wonderful job she did.
That
How
was
did the
great.
initial contact come about? Because you were still inside serving a sentence.
Yeah,
Um, how did she get in touch with you? Because it's just an odd sort of situation. Did she come
it
to
is.
visit you, or
Well, I've
emails, or phone
no,
calls?
I've learned that Lisa is very tenacious, and when she puts her mind to something, she cannot be stopped. So I heard the story, but her and Ash, her partner and producer, and just uh, they had finished Flash, and it was like, well, what would you want to do next? And she was like, oh, Flight of the Navigator, and so started looking me up, and then saw the Wikipedia and saw the social media and saw, all the troubles that I had been in, and basically just started figuring it out and contacting, the Crown here in BC, or how do I, and she just reached out. She got my full legal name and birth date, and wrote a letter, like actually pen palled, snail mail, written with a pencil or a pen, and old school ways,
Yeah, old school.
and
Yeah.
sent me a letter, and so I received this letter, um, and I was like, wow, and so I contacted my mom. Oh, one sec.
Oh, bless you.
Ah, thank you. It's not COVID. I've had my tests for work. I'm all negative on that front. Um, and and so she had, yeah, she had written and told me a bit about what she wanted to do, and then I called my mom and said, hey, call this Lisa woman, and see what's up, and and because I had been approached over the years from people, as well, about, oh, hey, we'd love to do a piece on you and what happened after, and it always kind of fizzled out, and or once we started getting into it, it wasn't, it was more of a dramatized kind of, where are they now version of,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
right, a more like newsreel-y, poppy kind of thing, whereas Lisa seemed really, authentic, and actually full of heart, and so it was this celebration of the movie, and also this curiosity. Well, how could someone go from A to B?
Yeah.
And and so we started writing back and forth. Once she had written me a letter, then I could write her back, and then we could correspond. And so we wrote each other for a while, and then I was released in September 2017, and her and Ash came over in March of 2018, and we started some filming, and we just started this journey, and now we are fast friends, and I just love them dearly, and I I appreciate and I thank them so much, because this documentary, this opportunity to share my story, and to go through stuff. I mean, we filmed so much. There's and she had to pare it down from, I think, 24 hours of film footage down to an hour and a half or an hour and
Wow.
40 minutes for the. So there was a lot in there, and I think that even, stuff that ended up not making it into the film didn't uh, was still helpful for me, cathartic, and amazing for me to just be able to get all this stuff out after, especially after all the work I'd done, because that's
Mm.
part of why I went to prison, was to get help for my
Yeah.
addiction and my traumas and stuff, and actually put myself through this program. So it's like it was the cherry on top of all the hard work I'd done, and just this opportunity and this platform to be able to share, my experience, and hope, and
I was going to ask you how filming the documentary helped you, but you just answered that perfectly. Within the documentary as well, you go back to a lot of places. You hold, your old hangouts. How was that for you? How did you feel going back to these places that you know, the former you, you know,
Right. Yeah.
used to be around?
Well, I mean, it brings up the stomach, like the butterflies, the not the happy ones, but the kind of anxious feelings. A bit nervous. I think that again, because of all of the work that I've done and on myself and all of the acceptance and learning and the growth and also letting go of old behaviors and old ways of thinking, and now being in a strong positive place where I'm happy with who I am today. I know that I'm not the sum of my negative actions. I'm also I've done a lot of wonderful things in my life. I'm a good person today. So having this confidence and just pride and self love behind me, it was easier to go to those places. I think had I not been in such a stable place and had I not had the support, and I don't know if I would have wanted to go back to those places, because there's a lot of even a lot of guilt and a lot of shame around certain places, and it's surprising someone who maybe hasn't been through similar trauma or through something. But I mean, I would think it would be the same as someone who was abused at a childhood home going back to that
Mm.
home and revisiting the the bedroom that it used hide under the bed, those types of things. It's surprising how strong memory and emotion can be when you go back to these places. So
Yeah.
I think again, for me, it was a way to really let go of the past and to really move forward and move on and be free of those demons and just understand that life life is beautiful now and also yeah, that's not me anymore.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I mean, it's very difficult for someone to understand unless they've walked in your shoes, and I think this documentary definitely gives a really good insight in your journey, and for all those people that think, you know, addiction, you know, you get people that say, well, why can't they just stop? You know, and it's not that easy. And you talk about mental health, and men don't often talk about it. They don't open up. They don't speak about issues, and they should do. And this documentary, you know, made me cry, made me laugh, and I left with a really good feel good, you know, feeling, because you know it was it's just amazing. I just can't put it into words.
Thank you.
It's really stunning. So let's end. I'm getting emotional now.
Oh, it's great. It's
so
great. I would just want to touch on one thing that even though people haven't, maybe walked in my shoes specifically, I think an important message is that we've all been through stuff. Like you sharing
mm,
with me that your mom hasn't been around, right?
yeah.
That other person who hasn't had who lost a sibling or just was bullied in school or
Mm,
didn't fit in or did fit in but still had that insecurity. Like there are tons of people um, who look wonderful and beautiful on the outside and inside they're hurting and they're struggling and they've
mm,
because we have to keep up these facades. And so I think that every story is relatable because
mm,
it's told honestly and that we can all relate to each other. And I think that's the most important message, is that we're all connected, we can all relate, and we can all learn something from each other, and we can all support each other even from across the pond, across the
yep.
world, uh, virtually. It's amazing. So yeah, share and reach out and it will make the
That's
world a
awesome.
brighter place.
And talking about making the world a brighter place. Obviously, you're doing a wonderful signing with Zombie Bite Promotions, where
Yeah,
people can, you know, buy an autograph. Because the thing is, with conventions and Alamo City being your first,
yeah.
have you got any more planned? Please say you have, because
Well,
they're wonderful.
They are, and we'd had some planned. I was supposed to come to Manchester in December. I was supposed to do Edinburgh in October, but they got cancelled. I had a few in the U.S., Miami, Orlando, Knoxville. So we'll see what happens. I'd really like to get to the London Con in July.
Oh,
We'll,
that'd be
we'll see.
awesome.
I'm kind of trying to reach out to that one. And as far as I knew, Veronica Cartwright was going to be there last year,
Right.
um, right? Sabrina and Aliens and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And we thought, oh well, wouldn't that be cool if we were both there and we could do a Freeman photo op and stuff like that for the
but
fans.
but
So
there's so many amazing conventions in the UK, like Wales Comic Con, which is enormous now, really is
uh,
big, and they've got one in April, um, which is still going ahead apparently. So fingers crossed. But yeah, let's talk about this signing with Zombie Bite Promotions.
yeah.
I've bought a copy of the documentary. Even though I've seen it, I've bought a copy, and it's coming your way to get signed, as
All
well as
right,
a poster as well, to get
excellent.
signed. Um, but people can still. The deadline I think is the 5th of December, and also Randall Kleiser's doing the signing as well. So it could be
Yeah,
double signed by you and
that's
Randall.
so
How
cool.
amazing is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It is for sure.
so obviously you can go onto Zombie Bite Promotions on Facebook and see that. But with modern technology, have you got any virtual conventions happening, or are you far too busy?
I don't. I am on Cameo.
Yes,
I,
I've seen that.
yeah,
Yes,
I've done
Cameo.
some cameos, which have been really great. And again, like any things that I love doing these things for the fans, right? And any funds that I make, I always donate, give back to charities and stuff that have helped me or supported me, and giving back, because that's what it's all about, a give and take. So, but I'm on Cameo, and then we'll have to see what happens. I
And
think.
how can people follow you on social media so they can
Right.
keep up to
So
date?
I'm at well, Instagram is at the Joey Cramer, um, and I have my Facebook page, which is Joey Cramer, aka David Scott Freeman. You can follow Life After the Navigator, Facebook or .com. Those are also, yeah, great ways to keep in touch with the documentary, but also anything Navigator related. Um, I'm actually connected. There's a Facebook page at Flight of the Navigator Appreciation Society, which is really cool. So I'll post stuff on there as well. And there's this group of people who just talk Navigator and share Navigator stuff, which is really neat. And yeah, so
Has it really shocked you on how amazing fans have been? You know, how many fans are out there?
it has. And what really, I become speechless, because it's the joy and the genuine, just, oh, passion that people have for it. That's one thing I found. We've talked about it, is you've either seen the movie and absolutely love it, or you haven't seen it. Like,
Yeah,
because if you've seen it, it seems like anybody who's actually seen it, it's a huge part of their life. They absolutely love it. They can't say enough about it. Or it's someone who's like, oh, I'm not sure if I've seen that. And I'm go, well, if you're not sure, like, I don't mean to whatever, but if you're not sure, then you probably haven't seen it, because
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So before we end this wonderful interview, what have you got coming up next? What are you doing next? I mean, obviously you've been filming. Is there anything
Yeah,
that we can see in the future, or is it a case of just loving life and just riding out this pandemic and keeping fit?
I I think it's just keeping up with what's happening. Again, there's this. I mentioned there's this amazing film community here in Nanaimo, always doing stuff. So I'm trying to just be involved in anything that I can. Um, and we'll just have to see this. Writer director Matt Haley, who I just finished a film with him, kind of a cerebral thriller, actually, about I'm not sure how much I can say, but it's
Well, you put a bit on Instagram, and I think that if people looked,
Right, the
I think the
12
people,
step strangler. Oh yeah, I did. That's right.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's a murder mystery about a killer who's taking advantage of recovering addicts and stuff like that. So it's neat. But also,
Thank goodness you could mention that, because I actually told Randall Kleiser in the
yeah,
interview what you were filming,
right.
because it was on Instagram, and I thought,
Yes.
hey, it's out
Yeah.
there. You know,
Oh
we're
yeah,
gonna
it's
get it
out
out
there.
there.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm pretty. It's pretty neat because Matt, he's his last film, The Settler, which was a western, actually got one cinematic achievement in the Los Angeles Indie Short Film Fest and stuff. So he's doing really well and submitting, and so being part of that is incredible. And my journey is it's coming together. I'm studying. I've got an amazing coach right now. I've had amazing training. I'm just and I'm working myself. I'm actually doing this other kind of thriller right now. We're on the creepy boyfriend. So that's why I've got this kind of stuff going on. And as soon as that's out, I'll be posting and stuff so people can check things out.
That is
What I
awesome.
love about it is it's people just making films because they love it and they want to do it. And then I'll get an agent and start auditioning and we'll see what happens. So
That is awesome, because the
yeah,
indie films are often the best films.
they can be. They can be.
I've seen so many indie movies that I just think are amazing. But Joey, thank you so. Yes, go on.
Oh, and I actually, a friend of mine, Ryan Kruger, he's just released an amazing sci-fi horror alien abduction movie called Fried Berry,
Right.
and he's a huge Navigator fan as well. But he just released his first feature film, and we really want to do a project together. So I'm feeling like that'll happen in the next couple of years as well because he's had amazing success and he's a really brilliant actor, director, writer, and so yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Oh, Joey, you know what? This has been an absolute pleasure and a tick off my bucket list.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone go out and get the documentary streaming from the 9th of December. I'm not sure if that's US and Canada.
yeah, it's already you can already order and
Yep.
stream in the UK.
No, no. So you can't stream
No,
in the UK. You can
oh,
order it.
okay,
It was
you
from the
can
9th.
order it. Okay,
You can order it. It's out now. And you
all right.
get I don't know if you get like a patch with it, because you can get a Flight of the Navigator, sorry, Life
Yes,
of the
the pre-order.
Navigator crew patch with it
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And then it's from the 9th of December, it starts streaming.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. So December 9th, we wanted to avoid the election conflict.
what a
So
drama. What a
although
drama.
it looks like they might still be counting in December, so we'll see
You
what
never
happens.
know.
But
You never know. They might make a film out of it.
yeah. But December 9th, yeah, you can then you can stream it for purchase and rent on premium Amazon Prime, and then come next year sometime it'll be on regular Prime for everyone's viewing. And we would have loved to have done some traveling around and done a screening in the UK and in the States, and I'd love to do one up here. We might still do something like that. So
Would you know what?
we'll see if we're
What would
lucky.
be an awesome idea is that if you come to a convention in the UK when everything's lifted,
Yeah,
I would love to meet you in person and shake your hand for definite, and maybe organize a screening, around that date. Do you know what I mean?
right.
So I'm
Yeah,
sure that people would definitely come along, do a Q&A.
that's
That would be amazing.
yeah.
But
Or even like we did in LA
mm,
last year was the Navigator screening where fans can come and watch the movie and then we have a bit of a Q&A afterwards. That's always incredibly fun too. That was such a gift.
seeing a sea of Navigator T-shirts in the audience. It must be
Yeah,
crazy. Must be
yeah.
crazy. Joey, thank you so much. I'll let you get on with your day. Thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I absolutely loved this interview.
you so
I'm
much.
buzzing. So thank you so much.